What's the deal, y'all? What's going on, everybody? Terry Lane, what's up? What's up, Angie? Craig B, what's happening? Oh, man. Hey, Sakura, how you doing, mama? Yeah, we gonna dive right in, y'all. I appreciate everybody checking in. I really,
What's up, bro? How you?
what's the deal, homie? I'm just still greeting everybody, welcoming everybody in, and to get this unfortunate dialogue understood.
Yeah, I'm just so sick of seeing it. Like, it's just so. Yeah, I'm just tired of seeing it, man. It's just
um,
tired of seeing it.
um, Tired of seeing it is an understatement.
Yeah,
Um, but here's the thing. I hate that this is what it is
yeah,
in this situation. Because being as sensitive and to the family's loss, the friends' loss, and as respectful as such.
right.
Um, I really was interested in hearing, because I have my perspective. So
Right.
before I even go anywhere with mine, because I kind of gave an overview. What's your position on what happened with Ma'Khia Bryant?
Well, I mean, well, we share a lot of the same sensibilities, so I definitely see where you're coming from, and we are in agreement with that. That it looks unfortunate, but it's like the she had a knife. I mean, his job at the base of it is to serve and protect. So if he comes up to a scene and somebody has a knife, he's going to react. Now, there's an argument to be made that why, like when it comes to being kids, at a certain age, deadly force shouldn't be the thing that y'all go to. I mean, a 14-year-old and you're a trained officer, at some point it has to be like, when does your, the humanity take over in you? When do you say, nah, I'm not just going to kill this kid? You walked up to the scene. I feel like from what we saw, he had enough time to walk to the scene and assess these are some kids fighting. I get that it was a call for a knife. I get that. Okay, it's still a 14-year-old child, or whatever the age, but it's still a child. You walk up to that scene, you see that this is a child. These are some children fighting. I
Now
think
let
you
me
got
show
a
you something.
taser. What's the point of a taser if you can't use it in that situation?
Let me show you something. And I was intentional and deliberate in not putting this image on my page because I just
Yeah.
didn't want to. Um, Actually, I was so against putting it on my page that I deleted it.
Yeah.
Now, there was a freeze frame. Now, before I get to the freeze frame,
Yeah, I saw it.
okay, you saw the freeze
With
frame
the knife,
with the
about
knife.
this flat. Yeah.
Now, to your point of her being 14, being a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and a taser, because that's what I've seen the most in terms of argument.
Right.
He was a teenager. Why not use the taser? The problem is this. The problem is she has a knife, right?
Yeah. I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, go ahead.
She didn't just have a knife, though. She was in the commission of using that knife.
Yeah.
She was in the commission of using that knife. A taser in that situation may not have done anything. Why?
May not. May not.
May not. Listen to me. May not have done anything. That's the first thing. The second thing is that's not even training.
Right.
The training is not to use a taser in the commission of deadly force. If he could have used that taser, we've seen people rip tasers off. Tasers do not always incapacitate people. If he got to that scene and she had a knife in her hand and there was distance between her, distance between the officer,
Right.
distance between her and the other person, and she just armed with a knife, and there's enough distance to warn her, there's enough distance to use a taser to try to make her drop that weapon, we talking a different conversation.
Yeah.
But she was in the commission of using that knife, and if he don't do that, that girl in the pink was getting chopped up.
Let me ask you this, because we always got to take into consideration when we look at these things. There's a right and wrong, like there's a legal right and wrong, and then there's a moral right and wrong, right? Like things that
Right.
can be justified legally, like absolutely, he's gonna be able to be. That's a justified shooting.
Let's go morally. Let's go morally. Let's go. I said, let's go morally.
Oh, let's go morally. Okay.
Let's remove the police officer.
Right now, if
Let's
you
remove
talk about-
let's remove this. Let's remove this being a police officer.
Right.
Let's remove this being a police officer.
Okay.
If you come on the scene, you're a parent, and you're a licensed firearm carrier,
Yeah.
and that's your child in the pink about to be on the receiving end of a knife, and
Oh,
you
my
have
child.
your
Oh, wow.
weapon on you, and you see a rock or a brick on the ground, are you going to pick up that rock to try to disarm that person that's about to hurt your child, or are you going to use your licensed weapon as a parent?
As a parent, that child getting shot.
Stop right there. That's where we are morally. That's where we are morally. See, when people say he could have used the taser, he could have used the baton, he could have used the karate chop, you are forgetting that she was in the commission of about to harm somebody. She was going to stab that girl.
Okay.
So let's say the police does nothing and the girl gets stabbed.
Now you hear the blame. Yeah.
Let's say he did nothing and that little girl stabs another little girl.
Yeah. He losing the job.
He's definitely losing his job, and the community is going to be pissed because
And if you
I
do,
didn't do anything.
I'll say this. I'll say this. It all boils back to the relationship already with the community and the police department. So we're gonna look at their policies. We already have a problem with their deadly force, their use of deadly force. That's the question. We're always gonna take that into consideration. We never agree with the use of deadly force, right? Every time police use deadly force, we always find a reason why they were wrong. So
only because it's not our person, only because it's not our loved one that they were using deadly force to prevent.
Yeah, but also because time and time again, we see them take white people in without the use of deadly force. Even though,
Let me tell you about that.
yeah, the numbers are higher. I know that.
In fact, let me respond to Sun, Moons, and Stars first.
Oh, go ahead.
He's a trained professional, not an average citizen.
Right.
And part of his training is to meet deadly force with deadly force. So if you're going to hold him accountable for how he's trained, Sun, Moons, and Stars, per his training, he's trained to meet that kind of force with the force that he used.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about white people and black people, and I want you to follow me closely, bro.
Go ahead.
It is deliberate. It is intentional that in the media, our emotions are intentionally triggered as black people.
Yeah.
We are deliberately shown that white people get taken in no matter what they've done. They get taken in peacefully. That's deliberately shown to us. And then it's deliberately shown to us what happens to us. But in the real logical world, that does not mean that cops don't do the same thing to white people that they do to black people, and it does not mean that cops don't spare black lives at times.
Right.
But what we're shown
I give you that.
in the media is the disparity. That's intentional.
I'll ask you this. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen one single video of a cop killing a kid, white kid? Not one single, not one single video of a cop killing a white kid. And you know what I attribute it to? Huh?
And you know what I attribute it to?
What?
I attribute us not seeing that happening to any white person or any white child. I attribute it to exactly what I just said a minute ago.
But let me ask you something though. The point in asking that is because when we're talking about, remember, we are talking about a kid. This is not hypothetical. We're talking about a kid. I get all your training and they're not trained to shoot the legs and all that. That's not their training. They always trained to shoot to kill. But if we're talking about morally, and after I had some time to think about that question you asked me, if it was my child, I don't actually know if I would be able to pull the trigger with at another child.
But see,
with a knife or not. I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
That's you saying that with time to think.
Absolutely, agreed. We have to take that into consideration. He's a cop and he's making a split-second decision.
What people have to continuously take into consideration is this, dog. She was in the commission of using that knife.
Yeah. Did anybody actually get stabbed though before that?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Or did she just whip it out? All right. Okay.
I don't know. I saw them roll on the ground. I saw somebody kicking somebody that was on the ground. She left that person and then went to the next person, the girl in the pink, and that's when the knife was in the motion of being used.
Right.
So in that moment, a lot of people have to understand that that's exactly what it was. And this is what a lot of people are forgetting. People are forgetting that the other individual was a child as well. Police does not know who made the phone call.
Yeah, I don't know why people keep using that. That doesn't matter in this situation when he gets there.
They don't know who made the phone call.
Yeah, but that gets back to the community aspect of it, and I think you were alluding to that sort of, like, what was the community doing? The community had called the police for this situation. I think they have a bigger responsibility than the police. I think the community is more at fault. Go ahead.
We have shown as a community, Socorro, listen to what I'm about to say, Socorro. We have shown as a community that we will record people fighting. We will record people getting hurt instead of helping. We have shown that we will watch people get beat up, stomped out, and record it instead of somebody breaking it up. Now, people are saying that they were grown women who came to jump her. That's even more reason for the people to get involved.
Yeah.
That's even more reason that should have been stopped before the cops got there. Because 14, 15, 13, 12, 25, 35, 45. If the cop don't respond the way that he did, the girl in the pink is poked for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand what goes through the psychology of these people when they pull out their phones and something like that is happening. I just can't even.
I have no idea where that comes from, because this situation could have been prevented before the cops got there.
Right. Right.
The police should have gotten there, and that block should have had that under control.
Wasn't any I heard men's voices after
people are forgetting, man. This was not her with a knife against the police.
Right.
What happens if whether they came to jump her or not is not the point. The fact of the matter is, are we saying that she should have been allowed to stab the other girl because they came to jump her, and that's what she would have deserved?
Right. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. That's. Hey, man. This is a hard one to come on. You can't, and that's why you always have to be objective and look at this situation without the emotion attached to it. Because emotionally, you're gonna look at only thing you're gonna look at is the cop shot the kid. But when you look at the
a cop shot a kid.
Yeah, but when you look at the totality of everything involved, it's like the only person I could put blame on in this situation is the community. I really can't put blame on anybody else.
Listen, I had a very intelligent conversation with my man this morning. Me and my man, very smart brother, pro-black brother. But we collectively are on the same page, man. The community failed Ma'Khia, man.
Yeah. And just like all the not just her, I mean, we talking about her specifically, but a lot of these things is yeah.
In general, man. In general. Sakura, listen, Sakura, I want you to remove your emotion. Like you said, if somebody tried to come jump you, you don't have no, if somebody try to jump somebody and in the commission of jumping somebody, you get hurt,
right?
I don't have no remorse for you either. I don't have remorse for someone that goes somewhere to harm somebody and something happens to them. But in this particular situation, it's sad because the police got a phone call about a person with a knife. And when they got there, they saw a person with a knife. That's the bottom line. And the person wasn't just armed with a knife. The person was in the commission of using the knife.
Can I ask you this question?
It's a big difference there.
Yeah, no doubt. Can I ask
it's a huge difference there, man. So when we talk about responsibility in this situation, man, if grown people came to jump that little girl and nobody on that block did nothing, the police is the furthest from my gripe.
Right.
Why nobody didn't do nothing before the police even got there?
Yep. Same thing with the boy that got killed in Philly. Same thing with that mom and all them called, and all the members out there when he got shot.
Exactly. 314 TG. A grown man was kicking that girl that was on the ground. We see far too often, man. Far too often, it's incited. Everybody want to record it. Everybody want to be the first one to post it to social media. Everybody want to be the one to post it so it can go viral. Nobody want to stop it.
Right.
Nobody want to break it up, man. Ma'Khia's life could have been saved before the cops even got there, bro.
Ma'Khia and the other girl, because the other girl could have been saved as well. I just don't. It falls in the community on both sides. Even if she was able to stab that other girl, it's like the community failed her. The community failed both of them by allowing that to take place. That's plain and simple. Did he get charged or anything like that? Did that cop get charged?
They took him off the street while they do the investigation.
He's not getting charged.
No, he's not getting charged.
I don't even think it's going to be a charge in that.
No, it's not. Listen, this is a sad, unfortunate, justified situation, man.
Yeah, and that's hard to say.
Because everybody has, you have to look at this in its totality. The young girl in the pink, or whatever old she was, the lady in the pink.
Oh, you saying it wasn't a girl?
Grave danger.
Yeah, they saying that wasn't a little girl?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Said that it was grown women who came to jump her.
Okay.
But under the scope of the law, the police are allowed to meet deadly force with deadly force to protect their own life or the life of a third party.
Right. And I think that's and now let me ask you this, and this is really looking at the outcome, right? Ultimately she lost her life. Ma'Khia, how do you say her name? Ma'Khia. Ultimately Ma'Khia lost her life. Seeing that, I think it would be justified for in that situation the officer to be able to not use deadly force and use their taser. And if she still gets a stab off, I think we have to go with that. I just think deadly force
I'm gonna
is
tell you why
hard when it comes to a child.
I'm gonna tell you why they're not gonna change that.
I know that it's not, because now you giving opportunity for somebody else to lose their life. I understand that.
Because that would be attached to an emotional decision versus logical decision.
You're right, 100%.
You understand me? That taser does a taser does not necessarily disarm a person. We've seen people snatch tasers off.
Not a little kid though, not a 14-year-old kid. I've never seen that.
A taser being removed has nothing to do with age.
Yeah,
it has
I know.
everything to do with stamina, resistance, strength, adrenaline. Right. It has everything to do with strength, adrenaline. You understand what I'm saying? That's what controls whether or not you're able to take off a taser. It has nothing to do with your age.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that. The fact of the matter is, and not only that, Ma'Khia has some size on her. She has some size on her. You can't look at her and be like, oh, she's 14.
Yeah, I know. I would.
You understand what I'm saying? So the thing about it is this. Mike Lowry, what's up, player? And I want everybody to hear me out and understand this. We have been intentionally traumatized.
Yep, over and over.
Intentionally. We suffer as Black people from intentional trauma and intentional PTSD. It's all intentional. And the only way we're going to get around that intention is if we are deliberate in using our logic to understand that that's been what's been done to us. We have to get away from, if she was white, this would have happened. We don't never see this happen to white people. We don't see it happen to white people because it's deliberate that we don't see it happen to white people. It's deliberate. Mm-hmm. And people keep saying, why not shoot her in the leg? Shooting her in the leg is not meeting deadly force with deadly force.
And to that point, that's not their training. They cops don't.
That's not the training.
Their training is if I have to use this weapon, they're only shooting for center mass. They shooting to kill.
Yeah, they shooting. Police are not trained. Let us just get this out the way. Police are not trained to shoot to maim. Police are trained to shoot to kill. Even us in the street. Let's go in the street. We have a street rule. Don't pull it if you ain't going to use it. And I have never heard nobody in the street say, you should have popped them in the leg. Some people have gotten shot in the leg. Some people have gotten shot in the arm. Why? Because dudes don't know how to shoot.
Right.
Dudes don't know how to shoot. You understand what I'm saying? So, Mike Lowry, I'm not buying it. It's not coming from... Mike Lowry, there's nothing to buy, brother. You my man. Man, you talk all the time. You're very intelligent. There is nothing to buy. There is nothing to sell in this situation. The fact of the matter is this. The fact of the matter is we've seen police barter with white people with guns, but that's them against the police. I ain't seen the police allow a white person to harm somebody and don't do nothing to them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the police do that. I haven't seen the police allow a white person to shoot somebody else right there in front of them or stab somebody else right there in front of them and don't do anything.
Yeah, we kind of look at these things in a vacuum and make it seem like they all take place in a vacuum, but they all are their own individual circumstances and situations. So we can't apply that logic to everything. We can't apply, oh, I haven't seen a white person this. Like, this situation is specific to this.
This is specific to this, Truck. This is, Rock, pardon me. It's specific to this. It has nothing else to do with nothing else.
Yeah, in this situation, looking at that is like, you can't blame. He reacted the way that his training told him to react.
Carlito says because they don't show you that. They only show you dummies what you want to see and you eat it up. Carlito, I don't know how long you've been on, but that's deliberate. It's deliberate.
Yeah,
it's deliberate. that
for
they
the
do that.
psychology of the world. They want us to appear one way and always want them to appear another way. We get that. We understand.
It's deliberate that they do that.
Right.
It's deliberate that they show us that. It doesn't mean that cops don't kill white people. It don't mean that cops don't kill white people. It don't mean that cops don't let some black people go.
So y'all trying to justify this kid
This
getting
is not
shot.
this is not about justification.
You know people have a hard time understanding that.
This is not about justifying anything. This is about this being what it is, y'all.
Yeah, you know people have a hard time understanding that.
Even with my man Mike Lowry saying Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Kyle Rittenhouse did what he did, but he didn't do it in front of the police.
And you talk about when he was walking, and when they saw him walking with the gun, they didn't do anything.
He didn't do that in front of the police.
Yeah.
It's called warning shots. So a warning shot, people are forgetting another person was on the other end of a knife.
Yeah, it ain't no such thing as a warning shot.
Warning shots and all of this. A warning shot does not keep her from stabbing that girl. The police said, drop it. Her adrenaline was going so hard and so fast,
She ain't even hear it.
What was going on.
Yeah, she ain't even hear it. She ain't. Yeah.
She wasn't complying to nothing. She was in the mix.
Yeah, and I didn't even see her warn. Like, did he have time to give a warning? He jumped out of the car and she was in the mix. She was already raced.
There was no time for none of that.
Yeah.
He saw that they was on the ground and she jumped up with that knife and was on top of that other girl so quick, it was no time to do nothing else.
We lost the ability.
This is the situation, Jamil, the actress. I'm sorry, sweetheart. This is unfortunate and it's painful to see that this happened to a young lady or a young black girl.
Yeah.
He did say drop it. He didn't say drop the knife. He said drop it or get on the ground. He gave a command.
Right.
For sure, because I heard him. I
Okay.
can't verbatimly saying what it is, but he gave a command. This was not a taser situation. Let me say this again. This was a situation of deadly force being used.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Situation of deadly force being used. I want everybody to remove their emotions and put your daughter in that pink sweatsuit. Remove your emotions and put your daughter in that pink sweatsuit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, us as a community, we've lost the ability to really
deserve it, Top Shelf. She didn't deserve it. You know what she deserved, Top Shelf? She deserved all of those grown people that was there before the police got there. She deserved them to get involved and stop it before the police got there instead of people standing around with their cameras. Instead of standing around with their cameras, and whether the lady in the pink was an adult or not, put your loved one in that sweatsuit on the opposite end of that knife.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta be able to look at things objectively.
We got to look at things in its totality.
Yeah, we don't have the ability to do that. We just look at the end result and
in totality. Ma'Khia Bryant's life could have been saved long before the police got there.
Yeah.
Everybody is culpable. The ones who came there to jump her, because here's the situation. The girls who came there to jump her, should be charged. And I'm going to tell you why. Because remember a while ago, there was I think it was in Louisiana, 2 black boys committed a robbery. And on that robbery, the cop killed one of them.
Right. His homie was charged with it.
And his homie who lived was charged with his murder. In this situation, but Jamil, I don't like to have those if she was white conversations.
That's different though, G. That don't work. That don't work here.
That's a waste of breath. I don't like to have if they was white. That's a waste of conversation.
You're right. But that situation you just
the
used.
The girls who came there to fight her, and if she was defending herself, and her death was caused in the commission of all of that. Okay, it was Alabama. Thank you, Invincible Underdog.
That don't work.
If they were responsible for initiating all of that, and it resulted in her death, then those girls are culpable. It don't matter, Mike Lowry. It does not matter, bro. I don't care how much you say you're not being emotional. You are, brother, and you my man. But
Hey, Boggs, I don't think they culpable in this. They wouldn't be culpable for her death.
what white people, what we've seen happen in other situations does not apply here. It doesn't apply here, brother. We can agree to disagree on this one, Mike, and you still my man. We can agree to disagree on that one because you still my man. But in the end, if that was one of our children or one of our loved ones on the opposite end of that knife, this is not what you would be saying. This is not what you would be saying. Like, this is not a, this ain't the time to try to talk about what would have happened if she was white. What we need to be talking about is how much black people need to stop recording when stuff is going on and people getting beat up and stomped out and don't nobody do nothing. Let's talk about that, man. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about we got to stop recording and watching stuff like this happen. I'm going to start letting people tap in.
How you doing?
China Black, how you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm listening to your conversation, and I agree. I agree. I do. You know what it is? I think that it's really hard for people to accept that. You know what I'm saying? And it's even harder to accept in the moment. You know what I mean? Because it just happened. It's sensitive, or whatever the case is. But that is a whole fact. When you look at the totality of things, yes, absolutely. Because if it was somebody else, child, mother, cousin, or whatever, they wouldn't be hearing none of that. And honestly, we see that shit in movies. Like, you know what I'm saying? If it's a robber about to rape a girl, whatever case may be, the cops come on the scene, they just shoot him dead.
Right.
You know? So it pretty much, you know, it's the same thing. That girl did not deserve that. But like you said, as a community, we got to do better.
Listen,
You
completely.
know, we act like we better, you know, and we want to be treated as such. And we have to implement that at all times.
And this is the difficult conversation that we have to have, because I'm going to tell you what we're doing. What we're doing, even with these disparities in this conversation, what we're doing is we're giving people the latitude and the room to say, because what people are basically saying is the cop could have did this, he should have did that, he should have did that. Now, what happens if the person in the pink gets killed with the knife?
Right.
Now, that gives people the right to say, y'all don't care if she killed another black person, but you care that the cop did.
Right.
So what happens now is this. We got to look at this in its totality, China, and say, why didn't nobody try to break that fight up before the police even got there?
Before they even got there, and they saying the girl called the cops, but how the fuck was she able to even call the cops in the mix of all of that just to go and do all of that?
Someone else said the neighbor called. But the fact of the matter is this. No matter who called, the call was someone is armed with a knife. And when the police get there, that's exactly what they see.
Right.
That's exactly what they see. They don't see a person with a knife over here and people over there, and they got time to give a command. She was in the commission.
Right. Right. I seen it. Yeah.
She was in the commission. And I hate that it went this way. But anybody that follow me, anybody that talk to me in my real life, they know I don't care about who's right. I care about what's right.
And I'm the same way. And I just had a live.
That's how my mother handled us.
Yep.
If my mother told me, stay in this house and don't go outside, and I get hit by a drunk driver because I wasn't listening to my mother, she gonna be mad that the drunk driver hit me, but she gonna be more mad at me because she gonna say, if you did what I told you to,
so.
You would have been outside to get hit by a car.
Exactly.
So my mother is going to hold me accountable.
That's a fact.
And so that's how I was raised, and that's how I move.
That's a fact.
Now, people saying, did she have to be shot that many times? I can't get into that.
Yeah. And you know what? It's crazy because when you start busting off like that, it's really a nonstop kind of thing. You really have to be in that mind frame and that person to do that.
You have to be that person.
Yeah, you have to be that person to understand that.
Because just in Chicago with the kid, Adam Toledo, that cop only shot once. He only shot once and it appeared that Adam had a gun, threw the gun or whatever. But in that moment, that cop only shot once. See, what we have to remember is we have the liberty of sitting back and having this conversation from the comforts of our home. Right. And we can assess it. We can look at it. We can say what we would have did, what we could have did, what we should have did. But then rewind and put yourself in that situation.
Exactly.
How many times have we been in situations in our real life where we was under pressure and we reacted in the scope of that pressure that we was under?
And most of the time have regretted after the fact.
People would tell us, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that. Man, I did what I had to do. That's what we gonna say.
That's it. That's a fact. That's a fact. This black and white thing has become so extreme to where we're forgetting that we're really all the same. You know what I'm saying? In a certain way. You know what I mean? And we make mistakes, all of us. You know, and I'm not justifying that, but that's what it is. It really is that.
It really is.
It's really crazy. And I like what you said earlier about things being intentional, you know, because I just made a live about that earlier off of this situation, how we just went from the George Floyd thing, feeling, you know, proud and accomplished or whatever. So now this happens the same day. So now we just revert our energy straight to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they took
Hold on a second, China. Jamila, I will not allow anybody to put disrespectful comments up on you while you was talking, sweetheart. I don't want to block you from the live because I want everybody's perspective. I want everybody's input, but everybody is going to be respected. You do not have to say, pass the damn mic, get her out of here. Like, we're not doing that, Jamila. We're not doing that. And I will block you from the live because I wouldn't allow nobody to disrespect you. Everybody can have their perspective. Everybody can agree to disagree, but I want everybody to be respected because this sister got a right to her perspective. I have a right to mine, and everybody else has a right to theirs, and we do not have to disagree, and we can disagree respectfully. But this is a part of what I try to build with us as Black people.
Exactly.
Respect each other on the smallest levels. If we can't sit here and respect each other on an Instagram conversation, how are we going to respect each other in the street?
And at the end of the day, we have to all have an open mind. If we can't have an open mind, there's no open discussion. And most of the time when you close-minded is why you're so angry. You don't got to agree, but you do have to understand all perspectives.
I can't disagree with you and call you anything if I haven't given you a chance to give me your perspective. Right. I have to know where you're coming from in order to disagree with you.
Right.
And just because I disagree with you on this topic, that don't mean I can disagree with you as a person in life. So we have to understand, man, us as Black people, we got so many tiers to climb.
Right.
It starts with us respecting each other, man. Something as small as this Instagram conversation. Something as small as having a dialogue. If we can't talk to each other, if we can't disagree with each other without name calling and being disrespectful, then what we doing?
Exactly.
Real talk, man. What are we doing?
Exactly. That's a whole fact. That's the whole fact.
But I definitely appreciate you checking in with me, China.
Yeah, no problem. I like this live a lot. I just basically wanted to touch bases on you saying how intentional it is, because like I was saying, it went into that with my live earlier, how, you know, it's all psyche. They trying to put our heads up. You know what I'm saying? It went straight from an accomplishment and something promising, something we feel good about, to this happening the same exact day. Now our energy is back to feeling unaccomplished. You know what I mean? Angry all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's done intentionally.
Right.
It is. So, you know, just wanted to elaborate on that.
No, I'm definitely going to elaborate on it. Yeah. I appreciate you checking in with me, China. Thank you, sweetheart.
Okay, you're welcome. You have a great day.
You do the same. Take care.
Yes.
Aziz Baker. So here's what we mean about intentional. We have to remember, we don't know the origin. We don't know the origin of a lot of the videos that we see on social media, right? Think about this. How often during a police trial, during a police trial, during the time that a cop done killed somebody, how often do we start to see old videos recirculating? Videos that done been out for years ago. Those videos mysteriously recirculate when a cop is on trial or when a cop has done something that we deem unlawful or unjustifiable. Those old videos find their way back to social media. Those videos find their way back to social media. Why? To disrupt our psyche. To disrupt our psyche. Now, Diva, it's not about them fighting the girl and wanting justice. They need to still be arrested because her life ended based on what they started. Unfortunately, when the cops got there and saw her with the knife, they didn't know that she was the one defending herself. That's why it's unfortunate. But like I was saying, these videos are recirculated intentionally to pull us into our emotions, and to get us away from logical thinking. Right? If I see a white police officer in Texas shoot a black man because he had a weapon, and then I see a white police officer in Missouri don't shoot a white man who had a weapon, I'm going to take those two situations and I'm going to marry them. If I'm thinking with my emotions, I'm going to say, see, they don't do that to white people. They don't do that to white people. We took this cop and we married him to that cop over there. We took this incident and associated it with that incident. We don't know what this cop would have did in this situation or what that cop would have did in this situation. We marry separate situations. Why? Because that's what the media does to the psyche. That's what the media does to the psyche. It's intentionally put there. We don't know the origin of these videos. We don't know where these videos come from. We don't know who put these videos out. So I can't say that this cop right here who didn't kill this white man, I can't say if that man was black, he would have killed him. I can't put that on that man. I can't say if that man was black, he would have killed him. And I can't say that that cop wouldn't have killed that man if he was black. I can't say that. Emotionally, I can, but I'm not an emotional person. I'm always thinking because I'm the type that when I do something, I don't want to regret it. So if you do something that caused me to go into that bag, when I go in that bag, I'm going to come out that bag with my chest out and my chin up, and I'm going to take whatever came from it. Because I knew what I was doing. I don't like the emotional reaction. The what if, and if it was this, and if. I don't move like that. I don't move like that. Sometimes it's okay. Now, if you have a person, an individual who has a history or a history or a reputation for doing certain things, then that person can be held accountable for their repeated actions. You got a habit of letting black people, of hurting black people and letting white people go. You have a habit of that. Hold him accountable. I'm about accountability. I'm about holding people accountable for their actions. I'm not into stereotyping. I'm not into assumptions. So we have to be mindful about what's going on and be abreast to the intentional trauma that's being inflicted upon us that creates the PTSD. That's what's going on with us as Black people. The trauma is intentional. And the PTSD is irresistible. We can't help it. But we have to get around it by using our logic, because the war against us as Black people is more than physical. Our mental is under attack. Our mental is under attack. We are under attack in so many different ways, y'all. So many different ways are we under attack. And another one of the ways that we are under attack is with our own people. Some of our own people sell us out. Some of our own people who we think or thought or expect to ride with us be behind our back, selling us up the river, man. So we're not just fighting against us. I mean, we're not just fighting against them and that. We're fighting against us too, because we got so many spies and people being infiltrating us and selling us out and being bought, and like we don't know who's who. Nobody did anything to try to stop that situation before the police got there. Nobody. Pro-Black 846, whether we gonna say indigenous, whether we gonna say Black, whether we gonna say aboriginal, no matter what we call ourselves, let's just get this out the way, y'all. Let's just get this out the way. It don't matter what we calling ourselves until we exude the behavior as a people. Pro-Black, until we act like whatever it is that you're saying we should call ourselves. Until we act like it, I don't care what we call ourselves. We can call ourselves the originators of the earth, the kings of the planet, the queens of the universe. I don't care what nickname and titles we put on it. A title does not make you act within the realms of that title. So let's just dead that. This is not about titles, brother. This is about behavior. This is about behavior. This ain't got nothing to do with if you stop calling yourself Black. No, I don't care if we call ourselves Martians. I don't care what we call ourselves. So you got to say that, brother. Don't say if we not Black, stop calling yourself Black, because I don't care what we call ourselves. Until we change our behavior of how we treat one another and how we see one another, we're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay stuck. Now, I don't know if that was her father kicking that girl. That's what everybody is saying. And if that was her father, then that's my point. That's my point. Why nobody broke that up? Why didn't nobody stop that shit before the police got there? Pardon me for cursing, I'm fasting. Why didn't nobody break that up before the police got there, man? This need to be a lesson to us across our culture. We need to put down these cameras and pick up some morals, man. We need to put down these cameras and pick up some morals. Too many people get recorded getting stomped out, beat up, knocked out, and people think. I saw a video earlier. Somebody sent me of a teacher in the face of this little boy, all in his face, a Black teacher and a Black student. And the caption said, "Thank you, Jesus, for the assistant teacher or the teacher's assistant who secretly recorded this." Now, Secretly recording it for proof and evidence, cool. But at what point do the secret recording stop? And because you got enough now, at what point do you put your phone away and step in and say, come on, what are you doing? You done checked them and you got the footage. Why sit there and watch that? I just don't know when it got to the point where when we see somebody being hurt, the first thing people do is this. This is first. Everybody want to be the first one to post it. Elisa, trauma bonding. Exactly. Trauma bonding.
Hi.
Hey, Shanae, how you doing?
So I went on live this morning with another female. So people are talking about defunding the police. So I asked her, do you have a plan for when people call the cops in their neighborhoods? Because apparently news is saying that she called the cops. Now I'm hearing the neighbors. So what if just say they, because I know they stopped the immunity in New York for police officers. So my thing is now, when something does happen, what are we going to do for our communities? Because now people don't trust the cops. You can't call them because then something go wrong. They shoot and then people's upset. So then what plans are put into place? Because everybody has an issue, but nobody has any plans.
Let me explain so people can understand, because people have that defund the police confused. Defunding police and abolishing police are two different things. To defund means to move money.
Mm-hmm.
Get paid a bunch of overtime. A lot of police get paid a lot of money. When people say defund the police, they're talking about taking some of that money and putting it into the community, into other areas that money can be used to uplift communities or give people more community opportunities and make things better in the community. A lot of people, a lot of communities are suffering. They don't have recreation. They don't have, they don't. So a lot of people are saying defund the police, so that extra money that's not needed is to move money around inside the communities. Abolishing the police is what we do not want. No matter what we're witnessing, we need law and order. We need law and order, but we also need to put our community as well. We need, once upon a time, we had guardian angels. Once upon a time, we had street soldiers. Once upon a time, we had street code. Once upon a time, we had people that certain things would absolutely not happen in our community, and we did not have to call the police for that. We don't have that anymore. No longer do we have people who step in with morals and say, y'all not jumping that person. No longer do we have anybody saying, I got beef with him, we gang banging, but he got his daughter in the car. I'm not going to shoot that car today. I'll catch up with him later. I'm going to spin the block. We don't have that any longer. So what has been lost is the moral compass and the responsibility of us as a whole. Of us as a whole. So defunding the police is something that people use and think that means dismantling the police department. That's abolish. That's abolish. That's not what we not talking that. In terms of having a plan, and if you call the police, in this particular situation, the police were called, and what the police were dispatched, when they got there, that's what they found. That's what they found, and unfortunately, it was in the commission of a knife being used. She didn't get to stab the person, or I don't know if she stabbed anybody else, I don't know, but in that particular moment, it went the way it went, unfortunately. But That's the difference between defunding the police and abolishing the police.
No, I understand this because this reminds me of Tamar Rice, because when he had the toy gun, they told him to put it down and he was playing, he was shot. So the thing is, because I have an older son, and you know, a lot of times I see fights, and you know, some parents and adults are like not really teaching them. And then sometimes you could teach children and they still do as they please. And what people need to instill in their children is like, when you go out that door, regardless of how you feel, you have to think, because when the police come, they're asking questions later. And of course, people don't want to back down because they want to defend yourself. But then it's like, when do you know when to defend yourself and when to walk? That can like cost you your life. So it's like, because I tell my son, you trying to put on a show, but then you have to think, is it worth it? Because when the police call, I'm not there to save you. And they can say you did this, or they told you, they gave you commands and whatnot, and you didn't follow. And I'm not there to know what is the truth, because of course people lie and then whatnot.
Right.
So I just feel that no one's like barely parenting their children. Of course, there's no accountability, because although I marched over the summer, I'm not marching for every cause and whatnot, because I feel that we need to be held accountable on what's going on with our community and our children and how we interact with each other and whatnot. Because right now, regardless of how you interact with the police, you never know what cop you're going to get. And I understand that it shouldn't be about race, because the DC sniper, he was black and they didn't shoot him. So I know, I'm learning now that it's not about race. It depends on the individual cop.
Absolutely, I can agree with that. Taywan, make sure you holler at me in my other DM on my main page for sure. Get at me. No, listen, China, doll, China. Unfortunately, sweetheart, that's not what happens when the police meet deadly force. They do not tackle people. They do not knock her out. They don't do that, China. That was a deadly situation. That was a deadly situation. You do not, police are not trained to tackle someone with a knife. That's just not realistic, and that's not how that goes. Shanae, thank you for checking in with me, sweetheart. I appreciate you. I can't dispute or argue about 4 shots either, China. Like, I wasn't the police officer in that moment. Police are trained to meet deadly force with deadly force. That's just the bottom line. Because it was a deadly situation, Poppy Fella. It was a deadly situation. It was not a taser situation.